Basically, everyone always tells me that I need to start a podcast, and I don't believe in that because I don't believe in podcasts. Um, I think there's too many in the world, and I don't want to be one of those. I feel like they're kind of like an evil that doesn't need to be destroyed, but maybe. I don't know. I feel like I just don't watch a lot of, or well, if I see podcasts, I don't listen to podcasts. Um, but like I'll see them on TikTok. I'll see clips, and I feel like that's the only way that I watch like podcasts. So it doesn't really make sense for me to make a podcast. Although I do listen to like TTRPG podcasts. And like I don't really listen to Dimension 20. I like prefer to watch those. But like I found this other one called Pretending to Be People. It's like a Call of Cthulhu Delta Green one. And I like that one because it's like funny. But I haven't even gotten that far into it because I keep forgetting to listen because I'm like, oh, well, I kind of just want to listen to music. So that's kind of like my dilemma. Look at my wall. I'm telling you to look at my wall. I'll explain that part. I cut out stuff from magazines and I put them here. My mom subscribes to People magazine, so I'm like, I'll do that. And actually, no, that's a lie. This one I edited the banana onto Sabrina Carpenter instead of a phone because I thought that was funny. And for a really long time, I wanted to make a like music video style thing. Okay, so I wrote like a banana parody to Nonsense, right? Like I wrote a parody of Nonsense but replaced a lot of words with banana. Not like a lot of words with banana, but it was banana themed. I don't know what my obsession with bananas is. I like them. I think they overpower in smoothies. Hot take. Not really. No, I just kind of felt like it, so I was like, I'll make that. This I also made. I don't know if you can see this. I don't really know that I like it anymore. I followed like this like tutorial, or not even tutorial. I just watched like YouTube videos of people doing graphic design, and then I make my own posters sometimes. And this one is of Lottie Matthews from Yellow Jackets, but I just don't know that I really like the poster anymore. Like I think it looks nice, but I don't know if that's just like me being critical of my work. Anyways, the other things I have here are Margot Robbie, Manny Jacinto. This is Grogu. This is a Grogu pod that my parents put. I'll put a picture of the wall so you can see like the whole picture. There's also Superman up there, David Cornsweat. But like I just cut out things that I like and I'm putting them on my wall. So that's the backdrop because I figured it's a nice backdrop. It seems like a nice backdrop. Speaking of Sabrina, I'm wearing my man-child hat because my bangs looked bad today, and I'm washing my hair tomorrow because I'm going to the gym. So I didn't want to have to wash it twice in a row because I have really curly hair. Okay. I'm going to talk about some things that I've seen lately. I just saw Superman for the third time last night. I watched it in IMAX because my friend was like, oh yeah, it's not going to be in IMAX anymore once Fantastic Four comes out, which I'm also very excited for. I'm seeing it soon. Like opening night. But like Superman, I was like, I need to see this in IMAX at least once because IMAX is such a different experience. It's filmed for IMAX. There's nothing like that changes really for me in the fact that it's an IMAX format. I just like seeing it in IMAX. And one thing that I noticed was okay, by the way, there's going to be spoilers for like all of the movies that I talk about. So sorry if you don't want to see those, then like I'll put like maybe I'll do the timestamp thing if I can figure that out. But I watched Superman. I brought my mom to it, and I noticed that in on his bulletin at the Daily Planet, he has a little Mighty Crab Joyce poster, which I think is so cute. There's also on that bulletin that's opposite from his desk, there's the like a little Superman figure on that, and I think that's so cute. Let me talk about some of my favorite things about Superman. I'll tell you all the times that I cried the first time, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So I think the first time I cried was when gives that little speech about crypto where he's like, he's not even a very good one, but he's out there and he's all alone. That makes me cry every time. Like I teared up last night too. And then I think I cried during the John Kent scene with him, where he's talking about like parents and expectations and whatnot. Also, I definitely cried when he was like knocked out in his childhood bedroom. Seeing his childhood bedroom made me cry. There's something else. When the kid raises the flag at the very end, but I think also when they're just chanting before that. Is that how many times is that a name? That was one, two, three, 4. There's a fifth one. I definitely cried at some other point, but I don't know. Apparently, my dad. So I saw it with him for the second time. Apparently, my dad like looked over at me one point, and I was like, there's like a tear rolling down. So I don't know. It was just really emotional. I think like also like I was I was feeling so emotional that week. So when I saw it, I was like, wow, just like brought out a lot in me. But I also do think that like it's a really good movie at like connecting with people and really investing you in the story. One thing that both of my parents kind of commented on was, so my dad was talking about how this Superman isn't as powerful as like the Christopher Reeves Superman, and that like Christopher Reeves Superman wouldn't have struggled holding up that building, but this one did. And to and then my mom also commented on the fact that this one was a little bit more violent and that you really see Superman get beat up. And I think that like the reason for that, or the reason that I appreciate that, and like my reasoning, or what I can assume is James Gunn's reasoning for that, is because having him be this all-powerful guy lowers his personal stakes. And like you can argue that Superman is for the people and he's caring for the people and that's why he does what he does, but I think it makes the sentiment, or it makes it like worth more. It makes like the effort worth more if he's, you know, putting himself in danger and doing that for other people. And I don't know, I've also seen, I need to do more research on the fact that like apparently they didn't want to make him too overpowered as a Superman. I like his weaknesses shown because it means more that he does what he does and that he protects people, because he knows that he knows that sometimes he will reach his limit. And I think that like that's partly why people think that Superman is a boring character anyways, because he just seems like this perfect like do-gooder, and he doesn't have any actual personal stakes besides like people who are close to him. I don't know. I just think that's really interesting about like being a hero and putting yourself in danger. It kind of means more that you would do that. So that's kind of my reasoning and what I told my parents, because I was like, I think that's why they do that. If I'm wrong, don't tell me, because I don't care. I'm trying to think other things about Superman. I'm really excited for the Supergirl movie now, because I just finished reading the Woman of Tomorrow comic, and I don't own it. I borrowed it from my library, but I was actually like, I'm really upset that I don't own it now, because the art is so beautiful and the story is really nice too, and it like was so devastating, and I don't know, it was like bittersweet. Like it's devastating and sad. So I also really love Millie Alcock. I saw her first in House of the Dragon, and then my mom wanted to watch Sirens, and I was like, oh my god, we have to watch Sirens because my girl Millie is there. We saw the movie, and my mom was like, oh yeah, and that was Sydney Sweeney at the end, right? And I had told her, and she, like, we laughed about it afterwards, because I knew that I had told her that it was Millie Alcock, even though I didn't spoil that she was going to be in the movie. I didn't spoil that Supergirl was going to be at the end of the movie, although I'm saying it too now. But I did tell her that Millie Alcock was going to be playing Supergirl. When we watched Sirens, I told her that Millie was going to be playing Supergirl. I'm calling her Millie as if I'm her close personal friend. I'm not. And you knew that. And I knew that. But now I'm reminding us both. Yeah, I really loved her in Sirens too. I want to read the play that Sirens is based off of, LMNOP, because the show itself was interesting, and I do think that it's one of those few shows that was a limited series that they then gave a second season, where I could actually see it going further than what we got. I feel like some shows are limited series and then they give it another season, And then I'm like, okay, well, where did you want to go with this? But I won't name names because I don't watch a lot of TV. So I don't even know I'm talking. Like, after Superman, everyone's like, oh my God, you have to watch Smallville. And no hate to Smallville. I'm sure it's a great show. It looks like a really good show. I think I would have a fun time. But you want me to watch 12 seasons? I just can't do that. I don't know. I can't even, like, get through. Like, I watched one season of Game of Thrones, and I was like, this is really good. And then I couldn't get into season 2. And it's like, it has nothing to do with whether it's a good or bad show. Unless it's actively coming out, I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. And I love Buffy. But once I got to, like, the part where because I'm also a completionist, like, I have to watch everything and I have to be paying attention the whole time. I can't just put it on in the background. And I watched Buffy, and then at season 4, you're kind of supposed to start watching Angel at the same time. And I wanted to do that because of my, like I'm saying, I'm not a perfectionist, I'm a completionist, because I just needed to get that, like, through 100%. And so I don't know, I think I'm still on season 4. I'm actually at the end of season 4 of Buffy and the end of season 1 with Angel. So I was really close. But then I just wasn't in the mood to watch it anymore, even though I really loved Buffy. And I consider it one of my favorite shows, but I don't. Okay, other movies that I've watched lately. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Speaking of Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I watched that. So I had seen the first one. I had seen most of the first one, but then I stopped when Helen Shivers dies, I think. Even though there's, like, and I watched it again this weekend after I saw the new one, and I realized that, like, I stopped when there was literally, like, 30 minutes left of the movie. I don't know why I was, like, so... I don't know. I don't even think I was bored. I guess I, like, forgot to pick it up again. I stopped when there was, like, 30 minutes left of the movie. Lame. And yeah, okay, so I saw the new one because that cast is so amazing. Like, for me specifically. I was like, I love everyone here. I want to see it. I really love Madeline Klein when she shows up in, like, a ensemble-led murder mystery. I think that was on my Letterboxd review, was that, like, she always, like, tears it up. I don't know. She's always, like, shown up. I definitely, like, felt stupid at the end when I couldn't predict who the killer was going to be, but I try not to do that, because then I get disappointed that I can't predict it, and it gets tough. With slasher movies, I like to just pay attention to how creative they get when, you know, killing people. That sounds so weird. But yeah, okay, so basically I had been told that I needed to watch the first one in order to enjoy this one, but I enjoyed it without remembering really what I had seen of the first one. And then I went back and I immediately watched the first one with my mom. And, like, I saw these movies with my mom, by the way. All 3 of the movies that I just mentioned, Superman, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, I've seen them with my mom. But we went home after and watched the original, and I, like, noticed where the references came from in the new one. And I mean, I might, like, watch the second. I don't know. I think I've heard mixed things about the second. And maybe I'll watch it, but I do think that, like, this new reboot-esque thing, or a requel, I think is what the Scream term for it is. I liked it and I enjoyed it, and I would love to see a sequel. Because they did kind of set up for a sequel. Right. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. That's the other movie that I guess I'm talk about, because I don't have my... Oh, my iPad's right there. Wait. Okay, so now I have my iPad. I'm gonna actually see what I've been watching. I watched the original Superman as well, with Christopher Reeves, and I don't have much to say. I thought it was nice. It was fun. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters by myself for the first time. I really loved it. I used to be into K-pop, and then I kind of just, like, I don't know. I guess it kind of fizzled out because Luna disbanded. I was a really big Luna fan, and they kind of had, like, a bunch of stuff going on with their company. So once they stopped really, like, being really active, and, like, now they're active as, like, separate groups, and there's a lot of Superman and Chu comparisons. I don't know. I just kind of, like, moved on, I fear. I don't know. I just thought it was really fun, and they actually sounded like K-pop songs. The music was so good. I actually was talking to my roommate about it because I don't know, I guess we were just shining, and she had also like watched it like 3 times in 2 days. And I was like, well, yes. I just showed it to some of my other friends, and I mean, like, I don't know actually what their thoughts were. They just liked the pacing of it. But yeah, I just really liked that movie. I thought it was fun. And it's definitely a good step in animation too, because the designs are so fun and they get to do a lot with it and just have so much fun with that animation, and you can tell like the amount of effort and love that they put into that project. Me calling a film a project. What else have I seen? I saw Jurassic World Rebirth. I saw that one in 3D, even though it didn't really feel like it needed to be in 3D. But I don't know if that's just like me getting older and realizing that I don't like 3D, or that I don't really feel like it is that fun unless you're a kid. Like Superman, I also saw in 3D, and there was like a few moments, but like mostly like stuff isn't made for 3D anymore. Or like I feel like when I was a kid, I would see stuff like flying at the screen and it made sense, and it would happen like multiple times in the movie. Whereas like now, the movies that I've seen in 3D don't do that. Superman has a moment where he flies at the camera, but I think for Jurassic World Rebirth, I was like, why is this in 3D? Nothing's happening to the camera. I liked Jurassic World Rebirth. I thought it was like a nice little like nod to the original, and they could definitely set it up to be a new trilogy or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought the villain was very like typical like rich guy who needs like money, more money than he already has, really evil. ScarJo, it's a ScarJo summer. I've been saying this because I actually just watched her for the first time as well. But ScarJo was great in it. She played a very like Natasha Romanoff-esque character where she gets hired to do this dangerous thing. So I just thought that was funny. Actually, speaking of ScarJo, I saw Ballerina, because Ballerina made me think of Black Widow. Like, Ballerina was very Black Widow adjacent. I would have loved a Black Widow trilogy, and one of those movies could have been very Ballerina style. Ballerina was really fun. I actually really liked it. I don't think I've seen all the John Wick movies. I've only seen the first one, and then I started the second one. I was actually on a flight, and the guy behind me, or like the guy behind me and to the left, because it was like I knew him, but it was like a group flight with my school, and he was like, oh, thanks for picking great movies, because I was watching over your shoulder the whole time, because I had watched Captain America Civil War, and I got a nosebleed during that, because I think it was like the heat in the cabin gave me a nosebleed, so I felt like I was fighting alongside with him. It was really cool. And then I think I just watched John Wick 1, which, perfect movie, but it actually makes me so sad. Like, they do kill the dog. Like, the dog dies. And I hate that. That's terrible. But it's such a perfect movie. I started John Wick 2, but I started falling asleep. And then once I woke up, I watched Pitch Perfect, and it was awesome. But yeah, Ballerina was good. And I don't think that I have much to say about that one either. I would love to see a sequel with that character, because I thought she was really interesting, and I would love to see more of her. The fights were good. Like, that's the thing, is that like the John Wick series always commits, or the John Wick movies that I've seen, okay, always commit to like really good action, and they really drive the plot themselves, and like it's simple but effective is how I would say that, because I think that's a really perfect way of making a movie about like an action movie. And that's not like to diss on other action movies. I like other action movies as well, but I do think that like John Wick holds a special place in my heart because of its dedication to having that one thing that drives that character. Movie that I think is very similar in that regard, or that like really reminded me of John Wick, was Monkey Man. That one was so awesome, and I feel like I didn't see anyone talking about it ever. So movie rec of the week is Monkey Man, because I think everyone should see it. Okay, I watched Her, and that one was really interesting. I forget what I said. I think I said the concept of your computer girlfriend telling you you've been in an open relationship this whole time. Yeah, this video is just gonna be me reading my Letterboxd reviews. Imagine you're dating a computerized version of ScarJo, and she tells you that she's in love with other people. like it was like 600 other people. I don't know. It was like a weird number. That movie was really good. And I can't believe it took me so long to get around to watching it. But like it had that like nice bittersweet existential type of ending. You're taken through the journey, but it's also very like isolated within that movie. I don't know. I felt like I wasn't thinking about it for too long afterwards. Which sometimes happens with movies. Like for Superman, like I've been thinking about it nonstop. And that's why I read the Supergirl comic, and that's why I've been picking up more DC comics. Recently I've discovered that I'm an X-Men fan. I'm really into the X-Men. Cyclops is my favorite. If I was a psychic, or if I had like telepathic powers, you would know, because I would be pulling this all the time, like the serving face, like. So don't worry about that. But I mean, like Scott also serves face with the like optic blasts. I actually got my friends to play as the X-Men in the Marvel RPG, the Multiverse RPG, because I got it because I've always wanted to GM, and I felt like that was kind of a perfect game for me to try out GMing, because I needed a break from D&D. I needed a break from the concept of D&D, because it definitely gets a little bit overwhelming. And I think what I've realized now is that for D&D, you have to commit to, this is not an objective statement, this is my subjective like thoughts on me personally running a game. So before I say anything further, just know that this is like what works for me, and I'm not saying that this works for everyone or whatnot. But the reason that I thought the Marvel game was so much better for me to start GMing with is because D&D can get a little bit overwhelming for me, and also because the examples of D&D that I've seen or played in are usually a little bit more, like the fantasy element specifically is a little bit more undercover, or like sometimes I'll play in a world that fantasy is a little bit more hidden, and I think that like for my style of GMing, I would prefer it to be in like a straight up fantasy setting, or like at least high fantasy type deal, because I've been asked to play in games and then they never actually happen. But like the concept is usually that it's superhero based, and then it's also set in D&D. And I think that like the work that it takes to adapt everything into D&D is so much more than just learning a new system, which is why I just learned the Marvel system, taught it to my friends. And basically what I was saying about the X-Men is that I was like, okay, we're gonna play, basically we're doing a one-shot at my house tonight, and yeah, everyone pull up, everyone come over, and we'll all play together. No, we're playing a little one-shot that I had an idea for, because one of the other members of the party is sick. So I was like, let me invite some other people. We'll do a little one shot. We'll do a little thing. And I suggested to them, I was like, you guys can play as pre-existing characters just for this time. I would recommend like Avengers or X-Men, because mostly people know Avengers, but I think the X-Men are cooler, obviously. And so I got them all to pick X-Men, and one of my friends was actually like, oh, can I play as Angel? Just because she knew that he was kind of like cool, I guess, like the concept. And I was like, yeah, you can totally do that. And now she's like getting more into Angel specifically and the X-Men, so that's really awesome. And I can brainwash all my friends with the X-Men propaganda that I'm spewing. I think the other team, so it's Angel, Rogue, Nightcrawler, and Jean Grey, and they're gonna play in like a little amusement park adventure. I just realized that I don't have to worry about spoiling it, because by the time that this video comes out, they'll have already played it. So yeah, it's called Five Capes Good Adventure, inspired by Six Flags Great Adventure. The reason I said this is because I actually need to do more research into why. I always need to do more research. The concept of doing research is really interesting to me, and I love that. Marvel characters don't really wear capes. Or, like, none of the main Marvel characters that you think of wear capes. So, like, whether you think of X-Men or Avengers, like, I don't think any of them wear capes. Well, I guess it depends on the lineup that you're looking at. But, like, Storm wears a cape. Doctor Strange could be argued to wear a cape, if that's what you count the cloak as. Sentry wears a cape. That's, like, 3 people. And then I think we counted, like, 2 more people that wear capes in the Marvel universe. So that's why I came up with 5 capes, because I think it's funny. And they're going to be playing against, like, I was kind of inspired by the clowns of 2016. Do you guys remember those? What was that about? I don't know what that was about, but it happened and it's weird. And I like who I don't want to look it up. I don't really care. But yeah, so like I feel like the faces of DC are more associated with wearing capes, like Superman, Batman, Batman and Robin. Actually, anyone in the Bat family really is a little bit cape adjacent. No, that's not true. Because Nightwing and Red Hood both don't wear capes after they stop being Robin. But Robin usually wears a cape, and then like Spoiler wears a cape. Does Batgirl wear a cape? I actually don't know the Bat family as well. Um, I love the concept of them, but I do think that like I'm excited for where the DC universe seems to be going right now because I want to be into the Bat family really bad, but sometimes they don't intrigue me as much as they should, or like I feel like I've just already seen enough of them. And like it's not even like I don't like Dick Grayson or like Jason Todd, but I just don't feel the way for them as I see so many people online feeling for them. Like there's like they have like such dedicated fan bases. And I'm like that's great for you guys, but like I just don't feel a connection with them. Um I do really like Green Lantern and I like Supergirl. Those are my DC characters right now. Cuz I'm reading Blackest Night and the concept of the Green Lantern Corps is really cool. Um and like just I guess Lantern Corps in general Lantern Corps. I'm always open to comic recs. The current comic runs that I'm keeping up with right now, there's a Star Wars one that has Luke, Leia, and Han, which I think is so great because I love that little trio. Um, then the Emma Frost run that has been coming out, and then also Vision and the Scarlet Witch, which is the one about like the Grim Reaper and whatnot. I yeah, I mean I don't know. I want to say that I'm kind of newer to comics, or like not newer, but like I haven't been as into comics as I currently am in this moment. So like this is the most I've ever been into comics, because I'm actually like going to the store and buying comics, and I'm like keeping up with things actively and following reading orders, which is why like I'm still on Uncanny X-Men. I think I'm on like issue 152 of the original Chris Claremont run. I started at 94, because I watched a YouTube video that was like, these are the how to read the X-Men things. Because usually I think like for most comic like characters, you can read just starting at an issue 1 and then move on from there. But for X-Men, it's a little bit like you kind of need to know the history. And also, I'm having a good time reading the older comics. You just have to know how to read them. You have to know the skip description boxes because they will never tell you anything interesting that you aren't already seeing in the panel or the dialogue or somebody's thoughts. That's a little helpful hint for anyone who wants to get into reading comics from the 60s. I should read more Fantastic Four, but I won't. And I apologize. I'm sorry. I do think that me and Johnny Storm would be locked in like this, but I fear nothing. That was a lie. I'm not afraid. A Green Lantern ring is going to find me soon because I have no fear. And that's how that works. What I've found about D&D specifically is that you have to commit to being in the fantasy setting. So something like Dimension 20's Fantasy High really works because it's fantasy high. Like, they're committing to the fact that they're in a fantasy world, as opposed to doing, like, some sort of low fantasy concept, I guess you would call it, where, like, it just can't be a world where fantasy elements are hidden or magic is hidden. I have a really good idea that I guess you can steal if you want to because you can make it your own. But I want to try to run a D&D campaign next where it's Old West inspired, or just, I guess, like, just generally, like, Wild West cowboy type stuff. Oh, I was watching Gladiator 2 because I wanted to see Joseph Quinn in something before I saw Fantastic Four. I wanted to see him before Fantastic Four. But I didn't want to watch Stranger Things because I don't watch TV. I cannot get through TV that way. I haven't caught up. I watched up to like maybe season 3 or 2 of Stranger Things, and it just was so, like, the episodes get really long for me, and I thought the first season was great. I just have trouble binging a TV show. It's like I can watch movies all day long, but not even, like, I could watch 1 or 2 movies a day at most, I think, unless, like, I have to be in the mood. But like TV shows are just so different, and then I just move on quickly. I think I have a bad attention span. But I was inspired by Gladiator 2 to do kind of like a Greek Empire, or I guess it's Roman Empire style in the Wild West. And so, like, the Colosseum games would be just the rodeo and stuff. So that's kind of what I'm inspired to do for my next campaign. I need more people to, like, play tabletop RPGs with. That's what I've just been into. This entire summer has been like movies, TTRPGs, and comics. And then, like, I've also been a little bit into reading, and I think I'm getting more into writing because of the fact that I've actually been GMing, and it's inspiring me to actually, like, get back into the mood to write things and be creative. And I just need to do more creative things with my writing, and I think GMing is definitely a great step into that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap things up because I'm tired and I want to go to the library, and I'm not even tired. My timer ran out, but I want to go to the library and print out my friend's character sheets for tonight. So maybe in the next episode, I will talk about that. Oh, I am debating the name of this. I think I'm going to call it Not a Podcast because it's not a podcast, and I opened with the fact that I don't like, not that I don't like podcasts, but I don't listen to them and I wouldn't make podcasts. Because the original working title for this was going to be called Liv Chats because my name is Liv, and I don't want to do that. I feel like Liv Chat sounds a little bit stupid now that I say it. Because, like, if I was talking about myself, I would name it Liv Lore, but that, I think, is just going to be like a little... Well, now that sounds like I'm shipping myself with Taylor Swift, which I'm not. Or that I'm, like, a Liv Taylor Swift fan. Whatever. Liv Lore. But that, I think, could be more of a segment than anything else. So I think I'm going to call this Not a Podcast. Unless you guys think that I shouldn't. In which case, comment below or whatever. So to the 5 people that watch this, thanks. Have a good one. And I'll see you in the next one.